Hi everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to Grace-Filled Families this week. This week we are embracing the topic fair fights.
Yeah, let's go.
Unfortunately, sometimes fights happen within a relationship. Have you ever been there? Have you ever had a disagreement with your spouse? Well, today we are going to give you some tips about how to do this without hurting each other and tearing each other down.
Yeah.
So stay tuned and we'll go through it together. Before we jump into our video today, I just want to remind you that at Grace-Filled Families, we empower you to live out your family values and kingdom purpose, steering clear of this world's distractions.
So to empower you, we actually have a 5-day family insight guide on our website, www.gracefilledfamilies.com, which is completely free. And it is a resource to help you understand your family better and give you purpose and goals for the future while resisting the busyness of our world.
Yeah, so head on over and we look forward to helping your family to thrive.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We're talking about fights today, aren't we? And we're talking verbal fights. If there's ever physical violence within your relationship, get that sorted out straight away. But we're reflecting on our sort of marriage and the way our marriage has gone. And early on, we used to fight heaps, didn't we?
Yeah, unfortunately, if I'm truly honest.
Yeah, it wasn't heaps of fun. I think we were just young and we were working out what it meant to live together and the mash of two families together. And it just led to a bunch of conflict.
Yeah.
Didn't it? And we learned some strategies back then, and we continue to learn more and more about how to do disagreements, how to do fights, how to work through those so that we're restoring relationship and building unity together ultimately at the end.
Yeah, and also keeping the respect levels high.
Absolutely.
High through it. And we very rarely fight these days.
Yeah.
We do discuss
we had a good one
things
the other week,
and we do disagree at times, and sometimes we discuss things very robustly.
Robust discussion.
And sometimes, unfortunately, it does lead into hurting each other. And so, if I'm truly honest, that's what led to this blog today.
This is good reflection.
Because it was reflecting on, hey, how far we've come, but also maybe actually other people can help with these things as well.
Yeah, so although we are like connected as one, as it talks about in marriage in the Bible, we're still two individual people who have different ways of thinking, different ways of seeing particular bits and pieces, and that will lead to disagreements, and that's healthy. And that's good. I think if we didn't disagree on things, it means someone's sort of ruling the whole thing and the other one's just going along and agreeing with everything they say. So disagreements are healthy, but we need to make sure they stay healthy and they get resolution, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we actually want to run through some tips with you of things that we've learnt along the way that has helped us to keep those respect levels and honour levels high, but also doesn't mean that either of us are a doormat that we're just getting walked all over.
Absolutely.
And so it's actually okay to discuss things together. It's healthy and important to do that within a marriage. But in Proverbs 18 verse 21, it says, the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. And so we just want to really reiterate today, the words we say has the power of life and death. And so we want to make sure that we're still bringing life, even in a disagreement, that we're still bringing life to our partner and life into our marriage rather than killing each other with our words.
Because that ends up in fruit, right? Like when you are speaking life, you get the good fruits. And so we want that for our families. We want unity. We want a strong team.
Yeah.
We want to grow up. Our relationship is vital for how we function as a family team. Yeah. It's the most important relationship to keep that going.
And when we're actually strong and getting along well, we actually can parent better.
Absolutely. And so here's some tips.
Number 1, I feel statements. Rather than you did this or you did that, it's I feel this.
Yeah.
And that really helps because the onus is on me that even if Steve was to try and defend what he said, it's like I still feel this is how I feel. And so that's a really strong way of saying it.
And that's been actually one of the most important ones for us, isn't it? To go from you did this or you did that or you suck or whatever it might be to going, actually, this is how that has made me feel.
Yeah.
And then often it's like, oh, I can see how that happened now. I'm sorry that it happened like this. This is what I was intending. That's been actually a huge one for us in our growth in our marriage, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Number 2 is avoid tearing each other down with their character down with that person, but keeping the issue really fact-based has really helped as part of the I feel, but also moving on it's not attacking you or attacking your spouse. It's actually just saying, this is what happened and this is how I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, your character is really important. And so if, I accidentally said something that wasn't true, a little furphy, and Nicole says, you're a liar, like that's attacking my entire character. I mean, sometimes you need to call a spade, but really it's probably just a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And so rather than going straight to the character, it's going to the issue and fact base,
like
isn't
this
it?
is what was said rather than you're a liar. Yeah.
I think this next one is probably the hardest one, isn't it? Particularly if you really disagree on something. Yeah, we get this wrong 90% of the times we have a little bit of a fight.
Yeah.
And that is to speak calmly and lovingly.
I love you.
Like, that's hard in the moment, right?
Yeah.
But it's all about self-control. You got to control yourself in the moment as best you can. If it's getting out of control and you feel that you're, so angry, go away. Get out of the situation for a bit. Bring yourself back when you're ready to talk about it. But it's important to speak calmly and lovingly. We don't want to use our words to tear each other's down.
Yeah. Number 4, this is a helpful one in the fact that, again, we want to speak life into our marriage and life into our partner. But sometimes there are things that annoy us. And so this one is the encouragement sandwich. So the positive, negative, positive. So say something great about them before you delve into the thing that's really frustrating or the thing that you might be disagreeing about or need to say that you're not happy with, and then finish it with another positive. Because it's, 2 wrongs don't make a right.
What has that got to do with this?
But no,
it's just saying you're on the same team, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I love that you do this, but can you maybe have a thought about this? Because together we can achieve this.
Yeah, that's
right. It's like, 2 wrongs don't make it right. Sometimes they might. I don't know. Anyway, it's pretty good. So an encouragement sandwich is a great way to bring up an issue.
Yeah.
But it's really important that positives aren't just false, like manipulative or false, because anyone can see through that. But a positive, negative, positive.
Yep.
Awesome.
Sounds good. Well, another thing is, particularly if you have children, is to discuss without children around. Now, this is a hard one sometimes, particularly if you have kids that sit around and listen all the time. But
we got a couple of those.
But talking about an issue when the kids are in bed or time that you've got on your own is much more healthy because the kids then know that they're still in a safe environment.
Absolutely. Safe environment is so important. And also sometimes the things that you're discussing, often the robust things for us, are actually those big things that your kids don't need stressing about in life. Like they're the things that maybe they just need to know safety over what we're doing.
Yeah, and it's our job as parents to protect our kids from things that don't need to matter to them. Let them stay as kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Next one. Be quick to apologise and quick to forgive. All right? The devil will come in and he wants bitter roots between you. He wants to keep you angry at each other or frustrated at each other. We've learnt over the years, the quicker we apologise for what we've done and the quicker that we forgive each other and move on, the better it is in the long run, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Forgiveness is key.
Yeah. And the forgiveness part is so important because sometimes, Steve might say to me, I apologise for this. I'm like, I actually don't want to forgive you. But that's actually then on me that I actually do need to forgive. And it is a 2-part thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I guess that comes after this. The next tip is to pray together.
Yeah.
Pray for restoration, pray for healing in that process. Because just because you've forgiven someone doesn't always mean it's just bright and rosy straight away again, is it?
Yeah.
And so praying for each other is a really important step after that.
Yeah. And then also finish your discussion with physical contact to
wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
A hug, kiss, whatever. But physical contact is really important, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And so to be able to finish your discussion still in a loving way is super important.
Yeah, particularly both of ours love languages are physical touch.
Yeah.
And so for us, that's important. It might be your love language is gifts or words of affirmation, and that becomes more important for you than the other. So know your partner's love languages and forgive and apologise in those ways as well.
Yeah. So it's about keeping that love high.
Yeah.
Even though you have a disagreement, the love's still up there.
Yeah. Another one which we've kind of talked about already is sometimes it needs time. Yeah. Sometimes you need space to actually calm down. And over the years, like early on, we'd get into a disagreement, a heated discussion, and I'd be like, I'm out. And Nicole would take that really badly, or vice versa. And I'd be like, oh, you're just running away from the issue, you know. But we've learned over the years, a quick lap around the block or opportunity to go ride a bike or something along those lines, or even just to sit outside with a coffee, can actually go a long way to helping both of you have space to think through what's going on. Now, it doesn't mean you then sweep it under the rug and not come back to it. It's so important to deal with conflict because, again, bitter roots will come in if you don't. And so having the opportunity to go away, calm down, come back and talk about it leveled is golden, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Not always the best if it's sleep time, right?
No.
You don't always sleep, do you?
No, it's not always great to do that, but it is good to have time. Or even one thing, moving on, in Ephesians 4:26, it actually says, when angry, do not sin. Do not ever let your wrath, your exasperation, your fury or indignation last until the sun goes down. Now, sometimes if we've been having an argument before bed, sometimes it's better to say, let's just leave it and we'll talk about it in the morning, but still not go to bed angry, but to actually calm down, go to sleep, and then come back to it when we're more level-headed, when we're more awake. We've had that time to think about it, and it can actually then resolve the issue quicker.
Absolutely. So sometimes you get it done before the sun goes down. Sometimes the sun going down is a good thing to allow you to calm and have space and work that out.
Yeah. Which also leads us into the next one, is where possible, resolve it quickly.
Yeah.
And sometimes that might mean sleeping on it. Sometimes that might mean, you've been talking about something in the day. Well, don't go to sleep without it being resolved, because if it lingers on and on and on, it can then, again, cause bitter root and then be harder, and then, affects the way you live, it affects the way you parent, it affects every part of you. So if you can't get a resolution, seek help on that.
Absolutely. And go to a counsellor.
Seek help quickly on that.
Yeah.
Because we don't want things to linger on and on and on.
Yeah. Often it's undealt conflict or disagreements that leads to marriage breakdowns, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you've got to be on top of this stuff and dealing with this stuff quickly and effectively. And yeah, as Nicole said, if you need help with it, go get that help. It's so important. This is the most important relationship either of us have in our lives, and it's so important to make sure that continues to grow and develop in a loving way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the next one, which we're almost through them all, but the next one is actually sometimes an agreement actually won't happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay to agree to disagree on certain things.
Absolutely.
Because
we're individual people.
Absolutely. And we're not always going to agree on everything, but it's agreeing to disagree and just be like, okay, let's agree to disagree on that and then let it go.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's a resolution there in and of itself.
Yeah.
If you're agreeing to disagree. So that's an important little step.
And it's an okay solution.
Yeah. Now, the next one, we're thinking about how do you fight with your kids? And then we're like, you know what? As parents, we should never fight with our kids, right? Like, we use the philosophy calm anchor. Other people use like the idea of being a powerful person. But the calm anchor, as a parent, you are supposed to be the one that is the solid rock for your kids, right? Yep. And this is super hard. Don't get us wrong. This is really, really hard, okay? But you should never be fighting with your kids. Yeah, you can have disagreements with them. You can talk about disagreements with them. But ultimately, you are the calm anchor. And we see it so much with kids that we teach, right, that they never hear a no. Or they, constantly in conflict at home. They come to school an absolute mess, and then they're constantly conflict at school. You shouldn't be fighting with your kids. You should be holding up the calm anchor as a parent. And what's so important is listening to your kids, hearing what they're saying. You have to acknowledge what they're saying because they're humans too. And then if you can, give them choice, but you can often lead the choice to be where you want. Say it's not wanting to get to the car, and where you can say, well, you're going to the car, so you have a choice right now. You can either walk there yourself, or I can carry you to the car. It's totally up to you. And in that, you're in a completely calm state of mind and going with that. And then you're not fighting. Yeah. You're trying to be the calm anchor for them.
And sometimes if it is starting to get a little bit heated in that discussion with them, step away or send them away to have a break, as we talked about before. have that break, give yourself time to think, to calm down, and then you can come back together and talk about it. But in that heightened moment, it's either, fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
And then you can't get anywhere. So if you actually stop, calm down, and then actually be able to talk and discuss it with them, remember, you're the calm anchor. You need to sometimes help them to be able to calm down or to have that time to think as well.
Absolutely. And it's also help each other out. If I can hear Nicole's getting frustrated at a kid, I'll sometimes come along and just put my hand on her shoulder or something and then take over. Like, allow your partner to do that. It's not to override what they're saying or to be a busybody in what they're doing. It's to support each other as teammates in this thing.
Yeah.
And we did do a blog a little while ago about the different stages of parenting, because this looks different based on the different stages of the parenting. And different ages and how you might tackle that. And if you want to look into that, teenagers are very different to little people, and what you do there. So go check that out.
Yeah, and that can really help.
Yeah.
But lastly, Romans 12:10 says, be devoted to one another in love, honor one another above yourselves. And so in the whole disagreement or the whole discussion that you might be having, above all, honor one another above yourselves and keep your loved one. It's so important in your marriage to keep your marriage and your love high through this. Doesn't mean you have to agree on everything, but to honor them and to love them. And so hopefully these tips can actually help you to do that rather than tearing each other apart.
Yeah, because ultimately you're on the same team. In fact, you're the team leader together, right? Like, we're leading our team, Crocker. And we want the best for each other. We want the best for our kids. It's just sometimes it takes a bit of a process to get there.
Yeah.
And so just remember that. You're actually working together even though you're disagreeing on something. And the fact that you disagree shows that you care about moving forward in whatever that situation is. And that's a good thing when it's done well.
Absolutely. And so in having a fair fight, it's honouring each other and loving each other above all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Well, I hope that's helped you today.
Yeah.
And that you can put some of these tips in. Maybe you haven't thought of them before. Maybe you have. Send us a comment below to see, tell us what helped. And if you have any things that you do to keep your disagreements, your honouring on and your loving on throughout your disagreements, chuck them in the comments below. Don't forget to head on over to our website and grab your free Family Insight Guide and other resources that we have on our website. But that's us signing out for today, and we hope you have a blessed week.
Peace out. God bless.
Bye.